We're rolling.
Ready to go.
We're rolling. Let's do this. All right. Welcome to Activate Thursday and Activation Nation. We're probably going to use this for the podcast. If we don't, that's fine. But we're here for Activate Thursday, and we're going to do this. It's broadcasting here on Facebook, and we're in the office right now. You guys, it's a madhouse right now. We're getting ready for annual convention. If you're new, if you're joining us like the first time, right, we've got an annual convention next week.
Yeah, next week.
Next week down in San Antonio. And if you hear noise, it's because we can't control it. There's a lot going on outside. We got a lot going on all week.
Can't stop it.
How does my makeup look?
It looks gorgeous.
I had my makeup done earlier for a photo shoot.
Same.
Lisa looks great with her makeup being done. Jeff, your makeup, how's it look? Great. It looks great, Jeff. It looks fantastic. Anyways, we are so excited for San Antonio and for our global convention. We're launching a new product there.
Yes, and we can't wait to tell you all about it.
Yeah, and so next month, in the month of October, we've got Activate Thursdays. It's always the second and fourth Thursday of the month, which I think is the 12th and the 26th of October, if I can remember the calendar correctly. And we're going to talk all about the new product that we're launching at convention.
Yes.
And today's conversation is not really about the product, but there might be some connections. But we got a little surprise. It's not a surprise for you guys. It's fun. We've already announced that at convention we're going to have two LTO flavors.
Two new flavors. Two
new flavors of Axio. We've got
green apple and orchard pear.
And green apple, formerly known as?
Oh, it was candy apple.
Oh, look at you.
It was even before I started. He put me on the spot on that one.
Yeah, Lisa wasn't even here when we did candied apple a number of years ago, but we're bringing it back. This time we're calling it green apple, and we have some right here. So there's one for you, yes. Jeff, a glass for you. Cameraman's coming up to grab. Cameraman's coming to grab an Axio. No, it's okay. You can get in the shot. It's okay. Axio, caffeinated. Cheers, Jeff.
Cheers.
Cheers. This one's, it's delicious. Well, let's see.
Yeah, it's delicious. Yes, it's delicious.
Oh.
I love green apple, so.
That is so good. Jeff?
Big win.
It's a win for Jeff.
It's a favorite in my house already. I was able, the privilege of being, and one of the perks of being over R&D is I got to bring home some samples early. My kids are already a fan.
It's so good, you
They're
guys.
fighting over which one's better. The green apple, the orchard pear, both are fantastic in different ways.
Okay, I love the orchard pear. I'm a bit of a caffeine freak. I got to have my caffeine.
Yes.
And orchard pear is decaf, so it's not in there. This is so good.
It is really good.
It's
really
so good. It's just the right amount of sweetness. It's not too sweet, but it's great sweet. But it's perfect for fall, but it's like a crisp,
yes,
just really sweet, delicious apple.
Exactly. It's that right, like you said, that right amount of sweetness. I always have appreciated that with Axio, is that it's never sugary, well, because there's no sugar in it. It's just the perfect hint of that sweetness with the flavor to really complement it.
You guys, I'm just going to drink this the whole episode. This is so good.
That can just be, you can just watch
Yeah, I'll drink, Lisa will talk. It's so good. It's so delicious. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about today.
It really does not. He just needed caffeine and was
I needed some caffeine for this.
Green apple.
Yeah, I needed some caffeine. Really, I just wanted to tease it a little bit. For all of you that are coming to convention, this will be in the store. If you're coming on registering on Thursday, it'll be in the store. You can pick it up there in the store. Also, the orchard pear that you mentioned. And then for those of you that are not coming to convention, we're going to miss you. We wish you were there. Understand why not everybody's able to make it. If you still want to come, there's still room. Come. But we are going to start selling these on the website November 2nd.
Yep. It'll be available. Yeah. You need to try them because they're limited time flavors. So.
Yeah. Oh, good point. Yeah. These are our limited time offer, our LTOs, a little acronym that we use. When they're gone, they're gone. So you're going to love it. Stock up on them, both of them. They're fantastic.
Agreed. And there'll be a lot of other things in that store you will be very excited for if you are coming. So definitely check it out when you get there.
So we have a new product that will be announced Friday next week, Friday in general session. But we have a great lip product, and we've already sent an email out about it. So
yes,
it's not,
so we can talk about it.
Yeah, it's called the True Pout Advanced Lip Duo. It's a 2-part product, right?
Yes.
There's an exfoliating lip scrub and a hydrating oil.
Yes, so it's that perfect combination of that kind of gentle exfoliation and then the hydration afterwards. It's gorgeous packaging, really pleasant, just wonderful, delightful experience, perfect giftable.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. I have a tube at my desk that I was just given from our quality group, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah, I love it. And it's, I'm looking out the window. You guys can't see the windows. I'm looking outside right now.
Just imagine.
It looks like summer, and so it feels a bit silly to say the True Pout Advanced Lip Duo is a great stocking stuffer. But you guys, like, Christmas is like, I don't know, like 10 Fridays away or something.
I was going to say someone has a count
Yeah,
out there.
somebody does. Like, it's so close. It's coming up. And so anyways, True Pout Advanced Lip Duo will be available at convention. You can pick them up there. Or November 2nd, they'll go live on the website. You can pick it up there.
Yep, but once again, limited time offer.
Yeah.
Grab them while you can.
Perfect stocking stuffer. And for those of you that have kids at home that are still going to school, it's the perfect teacher's gift. Those poor teachers, like, they work so hard. They just,
give them something to pamper themselves.
Yeah, let them a little self-care, a little pampering for the teacher.
Exactly.
It's perfect. All right. Well, that was a whole lot of we were just talking to talk and what's coming up with convention.
We do a lot of that.
And we're showcasing Axio, the green apple. Let's talk about the actual topic today.
Yes.
Right? We're talking about collagen, not the product, but specifically collagen in the body.
Yeah, and skin.
Yeah, and skin. So this is a little bit different than what maybe an Activate Thursday that you've joined in the past, where we focus on a product. We'll go into the details of the product, maybe some of the key ingredients or the features of it, and Lisa will really break down what's happening with the product and what's happening with whatever it's addressing with the body. But today we're just going to talk skin and collagen.
Yeah, and just what happens to the skin as it ages.
Yeah, and not necessarily so much about the product, and right, everybody can draw conclusions, and maybe in a future episode we'll help connect the dots on all of this. But
stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. Check in every second and fourth Thursday. Okay, let's do this. Let's talk about collagen, skin, what happens as we age, like how it breaks down, what can we do to prevent the breakdown?
Yeah.
Like, where do we start?
Okay. Well, I think first we just have to talk about what skin is, and it may be pretty obvious. It's all over your body. But I think what we tend to forget is it's the largest organ of our body. And often it's really a reflection of our internal health seen externally. So if you're seeing things show up on your skin, a lot of times it's a sign of something else happening on the inside.
Okay. You're talking about just any kind of blemish or anything
externally. Or the signs of aging.
Yeah.
They all come from internal processes that are slowing down, which should remind everyone of what our key differentiator is, activation, and looking at what is slowing down. So if we are creating a product that might do something with skin, then we need to look at what's slowing down.
Okay.
And a lot of that shows up very visibly on the skin because it is that really large organ.
Okay, talk about that specifically. What constitutes it as an organ? I mean, I understand that, and I think everybody that's watching, they've heard that a number of times. Skin is the largest organ.
Exactly.
Like, what makes it an organ as opposed to just tissue? I don't know. That's a silly question, but
and it's because it's a
system.
system of different things, similar to a lot of your other organs. Your heart, your kidneys, your lungs, all of those are made up of things like tissues and vasculature and nerve endings and all of these different pieces that all come together to form this larger system called an organ.
Yeah.
And your skin is just as complex as lots of those other organs. It's easy to just think of what we see on the outside, but there's so much and so many different layers to it.
So I think we all know, right? Because I think we probably heard it. Skin is our first line of defense.
Yes.
What are the other functions that we need to be aware of and concerned about and maybe think about? Like, what are the other functions of the skin?
Yeah, so you nailed it on the first one. It's our first line of defense against physical, chemical, biologic assailants, our environment. I mean, everything is touching our skin first. It also helps prevent water loss, so it's keeping everything in. It helps us regulate temperature. That's a huge one as well. So and also it's aiding in our sensation and our ability to communicate with others through that sensation.
Just the tactile.
Yeah, through tactile, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's a lot of different functionality to it that comes from all of the different pieces that make up the skin.
And you mentioned that we start to see sometimes the skin, maybe not the right way to say this, but the skin serves as a bit of a communication channel with us, because it notifies us of things that are slowing down internally where we start to see differences in the skin.
Yes.
And you mentioned fine lines and wrinkles, which I think obviously we're all...
That's an easy one to see. Discoloration's another one that you can see. Loss of volume and just loss of even skin tones. You start seeing different splotches of different colors. So your skin just doesn't look as healthy. Because really the skin, especially our facial skin, is what people see immediately when they see us. And a lot of times we get judged off of that, or they gauge our health from it.
Yeah.
And so it's really that first communication place that people see.
Okay.
But yes,
Okay.
like I said, it shows up in lots of different ways.
Okay. All right. So where do we want to take this? What's next? What should we focus on when we're talking?
Yeah, so I think what we need to remember first, because I said that skin is complex, we need to kind of dive into a little bit of what the layers are, so you know that it's just showing that complexity of it.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more complex than what I'm going to go into today, because you don't need to know every single
There's
little.
a Cliff Notes version.
This is the Cliff Notes version, because there's a lot of different layers within each of these 3 major layers that I'm going to talk about. So the first is the epidermis, and that's your outer layer that you see right now. And really what that is it's going to contain your skin cells, your pigment.
And that's what when we think
It's epidermis.
skin, that's what we're typically thinking is the epidermis layer,
Yes,
because that's
very thin layer
that's
on
what
top.
we can see.
Yes.
Touch. Okay.
It's the external. It's what's actually interacting with everything in our environment.
Okay.
It is what gives our skin its color. So it has melanocytes, so that pigment cells in there, and that's what's actually acting as that barrier to protect us from everything from the outside.
And that barrier works both directions, right? It
Correct.
prevents things from coming
And
in,
then
but
water
it
from
also
coming out.
keeps the water.
And so a
in.
lot of ways that people will describe some of that barrier function is bricks and mortar, if you've ever heard that. You have your skin cells, and then in between you have like your ceramides, so your oil pieces to your oil layers to it that kind of act as that mortar to keep it watertight. And so if your barrier is compromised, you start losing some of that mortar, those lipids, those ceramides, and then once again, in and out. You can get those irritants in, and you can lose water out of it.
And we call that TOOL, right?
It is transepidermal water loss. And that's a specific test we do to show efficacy of products.
Okay.
Where they measure how much water you lose over a certain amount of time. And if you're actually repairing the skin's barrier, you will see that number drastically decrease over the use of a product.
And that and restoring the barrier can be done can be done with products.
Yeah,
right?
very much so.
Anything else that we should take into consideration?
One thing to think about with the skin is that this is another one where it's very tempting to do a Band-Aid approach. And sometimes you just need something to have quick soothing. Like, for example, think a petroleum jelly, a petrolatum. Your skin is feeling really dry. You just want to slap something on there to have some sort of barrier protection to it. But what you're not getting with that solution is you're not going to the source of what's actually causing that barrier to be dysfunctional. And honestly, on your lips, people will see this with chapstick. If you've ever felt or said you're addicted to chapstick, it's because you've trained your skin by putting an artificial layer on top of it to think that it doesn't need to create its own oils. So it acts as an artificial top layer for your lips.
Yeah.
And so it actually is working against your body's processes and telling it, oh no, you don't need to make any more of these natural oils to keep your lips moisturized. I always put on this chapstick.
What's so interesting, just how, your body, right? I think every cell is constantly searching for homeostasis. It just wants to be balanced. And so if you're putting an artificial barrier, the skin's like, cool, I don't need to do that anymore.
Yeah, which is part of the reason as we picked our products for True Pout, that's why we went with an oil versus something that was more like a chapstick or a layer that's going to just stay on the top of the skin and act as an artificial outer protective layer. Is
there anything else that outside of products, and we'll get into products eventually, or maybe on another episode we'll talk about products that help with just the skin barrier. But what about our diet, or my wife will talk about just hydration and
hydration
water,
is
how important
huge.
that is to the. And is that all 3 layers of the skin? Is it primarily the epidermis, or is
the epidermis is where, because ultimately your epidermis is going to show everything that's happening through all the layers of your skin. So as you're more hydrated, it will show itself on the epidermis. So it'll work through all 3 layers. But hydration is huge. Making sure you have all the correct nutrients. That's where using something like our Rise AM, Reset PM, making sure you have all, because we've talked about it in combination with other cellular processes, but your skin has all of those processes as well. And they need these key essential nutrients to be able to run their processes, their renewal cycles, their functionality. If they don't have them, then they're not going to be able to run as efficiently.
Okay.
So we tend to think of that as a lot of internal processes. And that's how we've talked about our multivitamin in the past, but skin also needs it too.
What about foods that may, or things that we can consume that could have a negative impact on the skin? Right? I mean, they're like, okay, and I don't even know if that's, if we should even go that direction or if that's the case.
I think a lot of it, because there are certain things that they will talk about that will show signs of aging on your skin faster, drinking excessive. And I think key for those is excessive amounts of anything, excessive amounts of alcohol, smoking, all of those kind of things.
High fatty foods?
Yeah, that'll show up as well, because a lot of that will work its way out of your skin. So if your diet is cleaner, your skin will showcase that versus trying to work out everything that you're eating.
Okay.
Because like I said, it's going to be that canvas that's going to be showing everything that's going on inside your body. And so if something's not right, you're going to see it start to peek through.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the epidermis.
So that's the epidermis, and that's that outer layer. Then there's the dermis, and people are very...
That's
the middle layer, and that's where you're going to have your blood vessels, your nerves, your hair follicles, oil glands, and then your extracellular matrix. And that's made up of different proteins like collagens and elastins that we are very familiar with. So if you think of your skin like a mattress, and specifically like a pillow, we're going fancy with our mattresses, a pillow top mattress.
Pillow top, we're fancy.
Yes, so your epidermis is like that pillow top. I think
last time she used the word bougie, so.
Bougie, that is one of my words. Thank you for remembering that. I feel touched.
Bougie.
Yes, so for the bougie mattress, you have that pillow top, that's like the epidermis. It's the soft part, it's the comfortable part, it's what people feel and first come in contact with, but it has zero support that it provides to the mattress. Without it, it would just sink through. I mean, there'd be nothing. Your back would feel horrible because you have no support. And that's where the actual springs and other materials of the mattress come into play, and that's what your dermis is. It's that underneath structure that gives you all of that support. So if something is not organized correctly, or the number of springs are not, that you've lowered the amount of springs you have, or they're broken, you're going to feel that in the amount of support you have.
It's like that old rundown mattress in the nasty hotel.
Oh yeah, I have a great picture. I'll make sure it gets put in here.
Yeah, we've all been there. It's horrible, right?
Yes, I was speaking in Japan about it, and I showed that picture, and everyone just went, "Ugh!" It was great. It crossed over language barriers. It was fantastic.
So the dermis is the structure.
Correct.
That's the support, because that's where collagen fibers are. That's where the elastin fibers are.
And you have that network of all of your proteins working together.
And the fibroblast cell lives in the dermis.
Correct, and it's going to be what's creating that collagen.
Okay, so. True Science Liquid Collagen, is it safe to say then that product is primarily working on the dermal layer of the skin?
Yes, we have shown that it will activate fibroblasts to activate more collagen production, and also key barrier genes and other things that are all happening in that dermal layer.
Okay.
Yes.
What else do we need to know about the dermal layer? So it provides the function or the support.
The structure,
The structure. Yeah. What else is its primary purpose?
So, I mean, it's still going to aid in communication with all the other layers of the skin. It's going to help with your thermoregulation and all that, because you have some of your glands coming through there and your hair follicles. But its primary role is structure. And then you have your kind of bottom layer, which is your hypodermis. And really, you can just think of that as your insulation layer.
Okay.
Because it's going to have your sweat glands, some more hair follicles, some blood vessels, and fat. And so that's where your body is going to have some of that thermoregulation and insulation. And that will differ person to person, and that differs with age as well, because that diminishes as you get older, which is why part of the reason you start seeing some of that sunken in appearance with some older folks' skin.
Okay.
Because they've lost both some structure in their dermis, and then they've also lost the fat that's in that hypodermis, and so everything's just kind of becoming a little bit more concave.
But this is this a good fat?
This is very good fat.
It's
yes.
a good fat.
Yes.
So it's not like visceral fat.
No.
We're talking just a good, healthy.
Exactly. This is supposed to be there to be able to help your body function and give that protective piece of thermoregulation. Because if your body cannot regulate its temperature, then you're in trouble. You're not being able to adapt to your environment, and you're constantly miserable. So.
And is that then the primary function of the hypodermis is like thermal regulation and just body temperature?
And that insulation.
To regulate. Okay.
And then it's also kind of a connective piece, because now that's the bottom layer of your skin, and now it's going to connect with all of the other kind of your tissues and things in your body, muscles, bones, all those pieces. Yeah.
So we've got epidermis, dermis, hypodermis.
Correct. And each of them have multiple layers within them. We won't go into them today, but ultimately those are those main functionalities and the main ones that you hear talked about out there. And it's good to know what they do, just to be educated, to understand also what your products are doing and what's just happening to yourself and your skin as you age.
So let's talk about that, because I think that was the next part we wanted to go to, was just like
what happens
with age and how. Okay.
Yeah. So there's kind of two types of aging that I just want to talk about: intrinsic aging and extrinsic aging. So intrinsic is just aging that happens from within, just as simple as that. It's the natural aging process that will just happen from just being on this
because
earth.
The clock moves, calendar
the
moves.
Clock moves,
and we just
and processes do
passes.
start slowing down naturally.
Okay.
And so it will take place over years, and it will be kind of regardless. It's just part of being a human that this will happen.
Okay.
Then there's extrinsic aging, and that's everything from the outside. That's pollution. It's mostly UV, to be honest.
Yeah.
For your skin. UV does the majority of the damage to your skin.
A lot of times we'll refer to that as photoaging.
Correct.
Right? Photoaging, which is just damage from the sun.
Yes, and
UV
photoaging
damage.
is so scary to me because a lot of times you don't see it immediately. And when you get a lot of that damage, actually, it's usually in your 20s when you're kind of carefree and you're not taking care of your skin.
So the damage occurs when you're young.
It doesn't show till later.
It manifests itself
later on. And so
Yeah.
you're kind of setting the stage young because you're like, oh, nothing will stop me. My skin is amazing. I just want to go out and be outside and forget my sunscreen or forget whatever protection I need.
Yeah.
And then you don't see any of the effects. You're like, I'm good. I got the sunburn, but it's fine. But then later on, you see the photo damage that comes from it. And actually, if you ever use some of that special lighting on your face or special cameras or filters, you can actually see all the damage that's underneath your skin, like all the pigmentation that's coming.
That's like a camera, like at a clinic.
You could see it at a clinic. Okay. One of the in clinical studies, we use a specific camera measuring tool called Visia, and one of its settings allows you to see the damage. And I've done it once, and it was like, oh goodness, because I also did not know what I was doing in my teens. I lived on the equator too, so got a lot of sun there. Yeah. So then you can kind of see all the damage there. So people have been using that a lot more as an educational tool to be like, look at what can happen that you can't even see. So it's time to take the steps now to prevent this. But what extrinsic aging will actually do, it's the accelerated aging that comes from these external factors. Because like I said, the UV does a lot of it. Pollution does quite a bit as well. And that's one that we don't notice as much until later.
Yeah. UV, pollution. We already mentioned like excess of alcohol.
Exactly. Smoking that, and even being around smoke.
Secondhand
smoke. Secondhand smoke.
Yeah.
A lot of that will cause breakdowns and really accelerate those signs of aging.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen twins that grew up in different environments or have different habits, you can see the acceleration of age. There's actually also...
Have you ever seen twins?
I have seen twins. I have mine.
Lisa
I have
has
twins.
A set of twins.
They look they're only 12 right now, so they look very similar. So
I'm a twin.
Their aging is all the same right now. But there's actually this really cool photo, and it's of this aged truck driver. And he's been driving the same path for decades. Exactly.
Oh, wait, I'm steering with this hand. This hand's out the window.
Yeah, whatever you're doing. And so the side of his face that's been facing the window that's had sun to it for years and years, aged and like just looks like a mountain man.
Yeah.
Like if you just Googled mountain man, that's it. Then you look on the other side of his face and it was just normal aging. And it was this literal half face.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find that picture and put it on there too. 'Cause it's one of those ones that makes you be like, okay, I've got to take care of some stuff. Because if it was all even, you maybe be like, oh, I'm just a mountain man, I'm rugged. But this is just split down the middle of his face, and yes, uneven aging that really shows you those extrinsic aging.
Yeah. Let's finish the list, and then let's move on to what happens like in your 20s, 30s, 40s. But like, and maybe the list is already comprehensive. We talked UV damage, so sun exposure. We talked pollution. We talked, alcohol, smoking or secondhand smoke. Diet's got to have some impact on the extrinsic aging.
A huge piece as well. Yeah.
Just what we're putting in our body.
Exactly.
Anything else?
Let's see. Also, if you have used harsh treatments on your skin,
that's
a lot of people like to feel the burn of products, or they feel like if they, especially with harsh acids, they'll like to do a peel or something and just go really harsh and then be like, oh. Yeah, a lot of that can lead to damage if not done. So
correctly. Okay. That's perfect, because they have their place, right?
Oh, very much so. And a lot of things do. It's just making sure you're using them correctly, safely, the correct amounts, the correct spacing of when you're having these treatments. Yeah. And yes, with someone who's knowledgeable about it.
If you're seeing it on TikTok, maybe ask your dermatologist. How's that?
That is the tip for today.
Yeah.
The more you know.
Yeah. Oh, cheers. We're drinking Axio again. Jeff, how's your Axio?
Still a big win.
Jeff is loving his Axio, you guys.
Exactly.
Okay.
Jeff approved.
Yeah. Let's talk. 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. What's happening with the skin in those different age levels?
Yeah, so 20s, we talked about a little bit. That's where you're getting a lot of your environmental damage happening. Okay. Mostly it's because we're maybe not the most informed.
20 years old, carefree.
We're out and about. We're outdoors a lot more. We have this boundless energy, and we're just going for it. At the same time, our skin's exfoliation and just its natural renewal starts slowing down by about 28%. And so that'll actually cause dead skin cells to accumulate on your skin and stick together for longer periods of time. Mm-hmm. So your skin's just going to look duller and more rough. And then you're setting the stage for this later damage with all of these environmental aggressors.
Okay, so skin renewal. So a lot of times we'll refer to that as cell turnover, correct?
Correct.
So the cell dies, it sloughs off. And a new cell replaces it, and so that, what you just said, slows by about 28%. Mm-hmm. Like how, like a child, right? Somebody that's young, child, saying the same thing in two different ways. How often does their skin turn over?
Yeah, I actually have. I'll make sure that I pull up a graph on it, because when you're an infant, it's turning over about every 14 days.
And so that's infant till about like how old?
So then about when you're in your teens, because when you're in your teens, it's about 14 to 20 days. Then you get in your 20s, it's slowing down to 20 to 28 days, so almost a month. Then it's 30s, so it's me, 28 to 35, we're starting to go over a month for it. Then we're 40s, 30 to 45 days.
Okay, so in your 40s, it turns over every 30 to 45 days? But as a child, it was like every 14 days.
2 weeks.
So it's literally
doubling
and tripling.
Yeah, and then by the time you're in your 60s, it's 60 plus days for it too. So it's just
full two plus
slowing
months
down as
for
you
that
age.
turnover to a
yeah. And also at the same time, like with your 20s, like by your mid-20s, that's actually the peak of your skin's hydration. So that's good.
Okay.
But also the downside, it's the peak of your skin's hydration. So from then on, it's decreasing. And one of the markers that they use to look at hydration is hyaluronic acid. Mm-hmm. You've probably heard it on commercials on TV or on TikTok or wherever you're getting your information from, because it's a very popular skincare ingredient. But what you may not know is that it's actually a natural piece of your moisturizing factor in your skin. Hyaluronic acid is. Yep. And so it's actually at its peak in your 25, but then from then it's a downward spiral.
And we care because hydrated skin is plump,
correct,
smooth.
Linking it to the benefit.
We don't see the fine lines and wrinkles.
Correct. And that's why your skin in your 20 is looking so good.
Looks so healthy.
Exactly.
Okay.
Even though it's starting, like I said, you're starting to get that accumulation of dead skin cells because it's slowing down, and it's been slowing down since you were a baby.
Okay.
But really, it's your 20s that you're starting to notice it more, that is starting to happen. And so then moving on to your 30s. So there's not a lot that you're seeing in your 20s, maybe starting to get some dullness, and you deal with some other concerns, maybe acne or other pieces like that just come from different hormonal changes and pieces, especially if you're a woman. So you'll deal with that as well. In your 30s, you're starting to get a slowing of transfer of moisture from your dermis to your epidermis. Some of your fat cells are starting to shrink, and so your skin's going to start looking duller and thinner as well. So you're not going to have that youthful plumpness that you had when you were in your 20s or in your teens.
As a child.
So you're starting to, and it's a little bit the maturity that we see in people's face, but you're losing that glow that you had when you were younger.
I feel like you're talking to me.
You're glowing right now, but your makeup artist did a great job. Also, you're on some fantastic products.
That's some great products.
So he's not normal because of that. Moving on, so in your 30s, dullness is increasing, starting to get some of that thinning of skin. In your 40s, your collagen's really slow down. Its production is slowed down. And also those fibers, the collagen and elastin fibers, so once again, those springs in the mattress, that structure, are also starting to break down. So less collagen and elastin being produced. What you have is being broken down and disorganized. And so you're losing that skin structure. And so essentially, that's what's causing your fine lines and wrinkles to happen when you have that coming. And then when you get to your 50s, as I mentioned earlier, your hyaluronic acid has dramatically decreased by that time. Your skin becomes dry, your skin is thin dramatically, you've lost a lot of that padding, and so that's when you start seeing more bruising and damage from bumping into things.
That's where, I remember my grandfather, it seemed like his forearm was, he always wore long sleeves because he was a farmer, he was out in the field the whole time, so long sleeves, but I remember, if his sleeves were ever pulled up or rolled up, he always had what looked like cuts on his arms. It felt like he would bump into something. And
skin becomes more paper thin.
Just tear.
Yes.
Yeah.
You lose that kind of strength and resilience of your skin that you had when you were younger. Because I can bump into something. I'll show a little bit of a bruise because I'm super pale, but I'm not going to just bump into things and cut it. But my mother, who's now in her early 70s, she can barely get touched by something if she's not taking care of her skin. And thankfully she has me, so I hook her up with stuff. But for a while she was really suffering with that, where she'd bump into something and it would just, her skin would tear, or it would she'd have huge bruises on her skin, and then be really self-conscious about it because she just felt like she just was showing her age on her skin. And so you're losing, so you've gone from just losing your glow to now you're showing some of the extrinsic signs of aging from all that whatever you were doing during your 20s. And also you're just seeing all that structure start to diminish. And it's important that we're not having collagen and elastin activated as much. We're seeing it break down more, and we're seeing it more and more disorganized. And so you're not having the proper cross links between those proteins to keep that structure strong. You can think of a foundation of a house is another one, or once again going back to those springs,
to the mattress,
because if everything's going in weird directions. I literally just threw away our old mattress last night. Perfect timing. I was prepping for this.
Well done.
And we pulled off our cover, and some of the springs had just gone berserk during one part of it, and I don't know what caused it. And so I was trying to drag it down, and it was making me think of this, because you could just sit on it and it just go just because everything was going in every single direction, and it didn't have that strength and resilience to those coils that they used to have. So that's your skin as you get older if you don't do anything about it.
That's a horrible visual. It's a great visual.
Exactly, but it's kind of gross. And so you're just seeing that happen over time, and that's if you do nothing about it.
Okay. All right. So what's next? We're not going to necessarily talk. Well, we are going to talk a little bit about what you can do about it. What else did we want to talk about with skin and collagen in general?
So I think we just wanted to talk about what it is, how it ages, so you can kind of see what the trajectory of your life could be, what your skin could look like. Yeah. But then now I think it doesn't have to be that way. Yeah.
So liquid collagen, this is going to make a lot more sense next Friday, for those of you that are coming to convention.
I have a really good speech planned. You should come listen to it.
You should definitely tune in on Friday, and this will, we're going to connect what we're talking about now
We'll connect some dots.
Is in preparation for what you're going to hear on Friday.
Yeah, there's been some keywords that I've said that that'll have a light bulb moment next Friday.
Yeah, so it's in preparation for that, and then obviously we're going to follow up on the 12th of October, and
we'll dive into all the details, even more than what I'm going to do next Friday. So even if you are there in person, which we do want to see you, please join back in because we're going to go even deeper.
Yeah,
because I only have so much time to talk, and I have a lot more time here because no one's stopping us.
So. Just so that they don't feel, all right, well, you guys just painted a pretty horrible picture of what's going to happen.
Yeah, we can talk about the solution we already have.
Let's talk about a solution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so.
Liquid collagen.
Yeah, so True Science Liquid Collagen.
Yeah.
It has been one of those amazing products that really has just been a star of our portfolio this past year.
Yep.
And the reason it's performed so well, and I'm hoping that a lot of you were probably drawn to LifeVantage, or maybe this even just listening to us because of collagen, maybe seeing a before and after, because there's some incredibly impressive ones out there.
Yep.
And the reason that collagen is so effective is because of its functionality. It's activate, replenish, and maintain of collagen. It kind of goes back to earlier what I was saying of what happens to collagen as you age.
Yeah, it goes back to that, and specifically to your example of, the epidermis, the dermis,
that structural
dermis
layer.
layer where all the structure is.
Go into the root of the problem.
Yeah, okay. And so it is activating collagen production.
Yes.
So those springs that are broken and sitting sideways,
Yep.
right? It's
Creating new ones.
creating new ones, creating new elastin fibers, can we say that? And so creating that foundation, that nice, plump, comfortable mattress.
Yeah, boosting that firmness and elasticity, yeah.
Hydration. Does it help at all with hydration?
So there is some that helps with hydration. We've mostly focused during our research on that dermal structural layer and also some antioxidant protection as well.
Yeah.
So that's not the main mechanisms that it's working through.
Yep. Okay, we talked about activating production.
And then
Let's talk about replenish.
Yeah, and the replenishing is that we use collagen peptides, and the type of peptide or type of collagen we're using is important. The size of it, more specifically, is that we're using peptides that are more easily bioavailable to the body.
Yeah, okay, you said bioavailable. That helps. Maybe somebody that's
the body can use it more easily because it's in a form that it can kind of incorporate without having to break it down into smaller pieces because it's already in those smaller pieces. I always think of it, and it's gross, but it's like a mother bird, and it's feeding its baby.
That's a perfect
Yeah,
example.
and it doesn't just feed it a worm because the baby can't handle it. It won't be able to absorb the nutrients it needs, so it breaks it down and then feeds the baby grossly.
mush,
it regurgitates it into its mouth, and then the baby gets everything it needs because it's an easier form. And that's what happens. We're essentially having, during the process of hydrolyzing this collagen and getting it into these peptides, essentially that mama bird breaking it down into a format that your skin can absorb the nutrients that it needs.
I remember, chopping it up or chopping it up so that it's easier for the body to absorb.
Because that was the most important thing to me when I started here and was looking at the collagen. I wanted to see what size it was and the processing of it to make sure that it was doing what it said it would do. It was. So that's always good.
Yeah, and ours, the collagen that's in our formula specifically, fish-based collagen, 10 different
types of
collagen, right?
Yeah.
Each has a different function.
Exactly, and there's some that are more prevalent in the skin, but all of them have their unique function within the body.
Yeah, and so that's the replenishment piece of activate, replenish, maintain. What about the maintenance piece? What do we mean by that?
So we were talking about that not only is they're less activated, but they start breaking down more. And what actually breaks them down are enzymes, and some of them are called MMPs. And so one that's really kind of prevalent is MMP9. And one of the key actives in the True Science Liquid Collagen actually shows that it reduces the activation of MMP9. So you're having less of that available, that enzyme available to break down the collagen. So you keep the collagen you have.
Yeah, so it just slows it down. It doesn't stop it completely, right? Because you still,
you need cleaning up.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a good purpose to it. Essentially, that's why it's there.
Yeah.
If something's broken, it needs to clean it up so you can move on with your processes. You're not junking up your processes.
Yeah.
So you need that cleanup. But once again, like we talk about this all the time. We never want to stop something completely. We just want to bring it back down into its natural balance.
Yeah.
And that MMP9 production and activation increases as you age. And so that's why you're seeing that breaking down of the collagen.
Yeah.
So it goes through those 3 different mechanisms, which is what makes it so unique and what makes it so efficacious.
Yeah. And that's right. I don't know, we took 30 minutes or something to talk all about the skin and what's happening. And then collagen comes in and saves the day, right? It's restoring, it's activating, replenishing, maintaining the collagen.
Is it a perfect inner solution?
Yeah. And that's great. What's remarkable is the before and after pictures.
Yes.
Like if you see, and I'm sure most of you have seen, if you haven't seen the photos, there's a number. If somebody invited you to be here, just ask them for the photos.
They'll probably have their own personal photo too.
That's what's so remarkable, is that it's one thing to walk through the science and understand it, but then when you see it in action, when you see it in play, and you see somebody that was taking it before, somebody that was in their 40s or their 50s or even their 60s and beyond.
And how much it improves that appearance.
Yeah, everything that you walked through, right? As you talked about, just it's the over time, the cell turnover slows down.
That's sinking in.
Things are sinking in, and then
lines and wrinkles.
And then that individual, where all of that is visible and their before photos, and then they start taking collagen, and it's frankly it's a bit just mind-boggling how quickly those results start to appear.
Very much.
It's not immediate. It's not overnight, but it's quick, right? I mean, especially when you think about. It's taken years to get to that point.
Exactly. And the fact that you're seeing results that quickly is amazing because you're having to kind of turn back the clock a little bit on some of the damage that's been done.
It really is amazing. Yep. So, anything else to add?
I think that
we got it.
We talked about one of the solutions we'll have.
We talked about one solution. Stay tuned.
Yes.
The more to come.
Yes, very exciting things.
Yeah, Lisa, great information. I love it. You guys, I think I probably gain more from these conversations than y'all do.
Well, and this is completely my background. I was a biologist in school, loved cellular biology, loved human anatomy. So digging back into this is like my jam.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Well, thanks for joining us this evening. We're glad you're here. Hopefully this content was helpful, was informative, and hopefully you've got a better appreciation for liquid collagen and what it's doing and how it's doing it.
Yeah.
It really is remarkable. And in a week from now, we're going to have another product it's a great complement to liquid collagen and providing similar but different benefits. Complementary, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah. Complementary benefits and doing it a different way. And stay tuned for next Friday because you'll learn all about it. But again, thanks for joining us. Hopefully it was informative. If you've got questions, make sure you're putting them in the comments below. We'll jump in and answer all of those questions. For those of you that are coming to San Antonio next week, we are excited to see you.
So excited.
We're excited to be there. We're going to travel down on Tuesday. We're spending the entire week. We can't wait. We're just excited to spend time in Texas. And we hope to see as many of you there as possible. If you're there and you see us in the store, come up and say hi.
Yes, please.
We'd love to meet everybody, as many as we can, and we just love to say hi and rub shoulders with all of you. So anyways, thanks for joining us again tonight. Like I mentioned a minute ago, leave your comments. We'll jump in and answer all of those. And if you're not in San Antonio, please join us again October 12th, the second Thursday of the month, where we will really dive into the product that we are launching next week at convention. Anything else?
Can't say anything else. Otherwise, I'm losing a job. So I'm just going to stay quiet.
All right, you guys. Have a great evening. Have a great week. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, guys.
Get some Axio.